The course is all about C#. We'll be using Windows Forms projects, but the form will simply serve as a game board and not much more. There are no special libraries or frameworks involved. Everything is coded using C# libraries and logic. As far as prerequisites, well, you should be quite familiar with arrays and loops. Those will be used extensively. Also, things like enums, conditional statements, and basics of object-oriented programming would be very helpful. If your current skills in these areas are a little rusty, you can still follow along, but keep in mind that I do not go into details on syntax and basics of C#. I do, however, code everything on video. There is no magically appearing code at all. And every single line of code is fully explained, so you will not get lost or wonder what I am trying to accomplish. Plus, I demonstrate the theory as well, so you will gain a solid understanding about how things work. But if you get stuck, I am always happy to answer any questions you may have. The first game we'll code is a simple Hungry Snake game. It's a game that everyone is familiar with. You have a little snake, and as it eats the food, it grows. And you need to move around the game board without hitting the walls or the snake's body. Very simple premise, but this concept will teach us quite a bit about how to draw elements on the board, how to create the movement, how to dynamically change the snake's length, how to detect collision with the walls as well as with other parts of snake's body, how to keep the score. You get the idea. So brush up on the arrays, including two-dimensional arrays and arrays of structures. Get ready for extensive use of enums and loops and lists. Second game is a bubble breaker game. Again, very simple concept. Player clicks on a bubble and we will select all neighboring bubbles of the same color, and when the user clicks of any of the selected bubbles, they will be removed from the board and replaced with bubbles above and from the left. And at the end, we will also display 3 best scores from other players and let the player enter the name into a scoreboard. And to make it more interesting, we will allow for any size of bubbles and any number of bubbles on the game board. Well, as simple as it sounds, it takes much more thinking and planning than it seems. Detecting the click coordinates, detecting what bubble is on those coordinates, figuring out how to select all neighboring bubbles of the same color, and yes, that is basically a pathfinding, but there's much more. How to paint the bubbles, how to keep track of the bubbles, how to draw an outline around the selected bubbles, how to replace the bubbles with the bubbles above and from the left, how to detect if the user is selecting the bubbles or removing them, how to write and retrieve previous scores, how to make the board and bubbles size dynamic, how to synchronize the arrays with X and Y axis coordinates. Well, do you still think it's a simple game? And to make it even more interesting, I will show you different approaches, specifically a loop version of pathfinding and recursive version. That way, you will be fully equipped for more advanced pathfinding algorithms. The third game is a simple Pong game. And when I say simple, I mean don't expect any physics here, but what you can expect is to understand how collision works, how an object moves across the form, how it bounces when a collision is detected, how to manipulate the speed and position of the object on the form. And you will understand this not just in the code but also in the theory, because I will show you the theory behind all of this. And then later we will modify the game so that when the computer hits the ball, a new ball is generated on the form. So we will go into object-oriented programming and start generating new instances of an object dynamically. We will of course keep track of each of the balls on the form and move them along with each tick of the timer. So despite of this being a very simple game, there's quite a lot of knowledge to learn. Now each of these games is a stand-alone project. That means that you can jump into any of them as you wish. I simply create a game and then add it into the course as I go along. So there is no specific way in how you need to take the course. However, keep in mind that each of these games requires intermediate knowledge of C#. Okay, I think we are ready to jump into coding, so let's code some games.